So I'll start that again. I'm sorry you're going to have to hear all that bit again. So the first time I was ever at Accessibility London was last year in November. And we had Sarah Gatford signing for us to kind of introduce accessibility and why a video is one of the best ways to show how accessibility is brilliant, because hands up if anyone can understand what I'm trying to sign here. Apart from people at HEX. Brilliant. So yeah, the whole thing I love about accessibility is people are trying their hardest to be accessible, but we can't just do one thing to be accessible for kind of one group or one ability. So what we've tried to do as a team we've learned sign language. So we're now over a year on, and I can officially now stand on stage and do sign language. But I'm not going to do it completely live because that would be absolutely crazy. But what I am going to talk to you about is what we've called KISS coding. So keep it simple, not going to say the last letter because let's be honest, we're all superheroes. Coding. We're finding that the things that we do are absolutely amazing, but we can do things just that little bit better and keep things just that little bit more simpler. And we can help so many more people. So slowly we're going to go through that all today and actually show some little bits. So quick hello. So I'm the creative director at HEX. We are a Nottingham-based digital agency that focus predominantly on accessibility. So we work with local authorities, public sector, higher and further education to help improve their accessibility. So as you can think, we have seen some hideous code and trying to make it a lot better for them. Very quick plug, we also run Accessibility Nottingham. So we do have our own accessibility meetup. So every third Tuesday of every month, we stand up and talk about accessibility, which is brilliant. On a little bit of a break over Christmas, and then we're going to start again in February. So just a quick idea of what we're going to be covering. We're going to just go through very basic coding practices, just to see why we do certain basic things, how this does relate to accessibility, and I am being an absolute fool. I'm doing some live demonstrations with some screen readers. But obviously there's always going to be a disclaimer in anything I talk about. We are really predominantly going to be looking at how screen readers use websites. That's the main area that we're focusing on. We understand that there are multiple ways that people use websites and multiple different ways that people use websites. But what I want just to show you is how easy it is just to make a screen reader's user's life a lot easier just by the tiniest of things. The smallest of little statements makes things a lot easier. So the reason why we kind of thought of this talk is, I'm a developer at heart. I've always done development. But developers are pretty much like this little dog. They will see anything that they want and they'll just go off on a tangent, see a squirrel that's running up a tree, and try and play with that new technology. React came up, then Node was playing around, and then we had a little bit of Angular. Honestly, it got so confusing just from a developer's point of view. I don't see myself as old, but I feel like I'm very old when it comes in the developing world. I am very much a keep it simple coder. We are a WordPress agency. We've worked in Umbraco and we've also worked in Terminal 4. Fantastic kind of CMS systems, but we try and keep it standard. We try and keep it moving forward. But at the same time, we're seeing how people do get very much distracted in what they're trying to do. So the purpose of that talk kind of started off from the dog from Up. And you can kind of see how certain websites are being built, and they're kind of being built by thinking of the flashy idea. There was a kind of an area where school children are obviously using computers a hell of a lot more than they did when I was younger. And a friend of mine, she was looking after a class, and the student was blind. And this idea of kind of the Tide Tables rock stars was you quickly put information into a computer and you get the results back really quickly. Fantastic, really interactive, gamifying everything, trying to help people do their times tables. And as someone that was crap at timetables, I would have loved this when I was younger. It would have been fantastic. But someone came up to that person and said, well, I can't use that. I use a screen reader, so how am I going to get the interaction back? I'm not going to get the results as quickly, or the worst case scenario is it's not going to work at all. And this really hit home. What can we do as developers, even as agencies or as just people just sitting down as freelancers trying to help out? What can we do to help? Because there are some fantastic tools. This isn't the calculator that's in Mac. This is a React website that is a calculator. Looks identical. Yes, it's a very basic function. And yes, I feel wrong that I'm kind of picking on this example. But how can a disabled user use this? There is no feedback. There is no interaction. And for something that could be very, very helpful to someone, you're missing out on a hell of a lot of people on there. And kind of the same idea of what we're doing with maths. Maths is massive now. We have to be better than what I was with maths. And the more things that we're creating, the more things I can look at that right now and just think, right, you can use keyboards, but how do I know I'm right? And we tested it. It's not. You're not straight away. You're not right. You don't know what's going on. So we need to do better at that. So, developers, go on, hands up, please. There's more here. Fantastic. We learned this. HTML structure is, the Lego bricks of now. Yeah, we still use Lego, but it's brilliant. What we do day after day after day is build a solid structure. But also at the same time, we are inheriting very bad structures. And that's not down to what we're doing at the moment, or maybe what not is down to the predecessor, because time is a problem. I understand that. But what we have to do, as Chrissy said in her talk, think about this at the start. You may get that wireframe. You may think, right, I've got a load of divs here, so blocks of content. I may have all of this up here, but it looks right. You can kind of navigate through it okay. How does a screen reader think of that? So out of all the developers that are here, who's used a screen reader on a development that they've done? Brilliant. A lot more than what we've had before. We've seen some talks where hands have gone down. And those people, they're trying to learn. You're going to see later how hard a screen reader is to use. But what we have to do is think about the flow of everything and making sure that everything is being displayed as we wish it to be. So if we're inheriting a site, and that site is predominantly just divs and little blocks of items, we need to try and actually identify what these blocks are. What do they do? What do they represent? And if we're using kind of pre-HTML5, so 4 and below, the first thing that we can do is really give them roles. Is it a banner? Is it kind of a footer or kind of content info? Do we have main? So main is vital. This is where your main content's going to be. Do we have sections within that? Do we have articles within that? Are there easy ways that we can break up this content? Quite an important one is the complementary role, because that's what it is. It's complementary. The most important thing, really, when you think about it, are our main roles. So how do you think a person will use that information when they're using a screen reader? The example I'm showing on screen now is a picture of VoiceOver by Mac. It gives you a lot of ideas of kind of what links are, what your content is, and also landmarks. So here you've got banner, navigation, complementary, main and navigation, things like that. So if someone's deciding to navigate through kind of the website that way, they will use these navigation areas. So their navigation is looking at roles. It's looking at different areas in here. So you have to think, just adding that role, so that little bit just at the start, just adding that has helped navigation that is not typical navigation when you think about it. It's not kind of tabbing around. It's not using your mouse. It's allowing someone else to go through your website in a slightly different way. And then the magic of HTML5 came. It's been a long time now, but it's been brilliant, because we don't need roles really anymore. We do in some areas, but we've got built-in headers, main, navigation, we've got a side, we've got footer. Everything like this is there for us. So if we build it, semantically, it's there for us. The roles are there. And it gives you just that little bit extra bit of structure. Now, I know what I'm saying now is very basic when it comes to kind of how we should be building things. But if we do it right at the start, if we have it in our workflow, then it's going to make things a lot easier moving forward. And then ARIA comes. ARIA has been magic. It has been around before. It's been around before HTML5, but it's been brilliant. It's making our accessible kind of systems just that little bit extra. It adds just that little bit more of context to what we're doing. And it can add that little bit more of context to the things that we're doing already. So we're going to be talking quite a bit about ARIA labels and kind of label by, because these are two kind of areas that we can use that just add just that extra bit of information without having to have too much extra code. So for those non-developers here, raise your hand if I'm just talking absolute crap, but I will try and talk through it a little bit more. The idea here we've got a link. We've got a link that is going to go to, at the moment, a hashtag, but if we imagine it's going to go to Facebook. This I and this class of Fab FA Facebook is an icon. So when you see that, it just looks like a Facebook icon. But that won't really give us any information when it comes to reading anything out. So what we've done is we've added, within the link, we've added this ARIA label item. And all it's saying is, House of Cats on Facebook, external link. A very, very, very small item. But what that has done is that is telling a screen reader that this link actually has something in it, and it's saying it's on there. It's also saying that we're going on an external link. So 2 added bits of content in there that's really going to help a user navigate through your website. So if you inherit that website, you've got Font Awesome or whatever you're using when it comes to kind of an icon font, please, that will be the first thing I would recommend putting in. Making sure you just got that extra little bit in there just to help people out. But then when you think about it from your structure point of view, you don't have to just have section. You don't have to have just navigation. You can add context to that as well. So ARIA label is going to add that extra little bit extra. So the main area, so if we look back at our site, we've got main block here. What we do to declare that is we'll just say main. But what we can also do is add ARIA label to that. So it's not just saying main when it comes onto a screen reader. It's actually saying that maybe it's the content area, or it's something to do with this, or something to do with that. It's adding extra content. And as soon as you kind of look at the website, physically look at the website, there is no difference to what you're seeing. But a screen reader will have just that extra bit of information. It's really, really going to help them. What you can also do is very similar, but we're just adding labeled by. Labeled by means it's referencing another element. So in this instance, at the moment, we've got heading 1 down here. We've given us an idea of main heading, and we're referencing it in here at the top. So rather than having ARIA label, yada, 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 we've got contact the House of Cats, and that is what's going to reference it at the top. So if you think about it from a templating point of view, whatever language you're kind of developing, as long as you've got references between the two, it's going to help that user navigate it through just that little bit more. So I was quite sad when we all put our hands up because we didn't have the biggest question here, which I think will be tonight. So who are fans of dogs? Oh, that's really going to suck for you lot today. I'm so sorry. Fans of cats? Oh, a bit more support. Fantastic. Yeah, I think you can imagine by some of the things I'm talking about today, we're going to have an experience through the House of Cats today. So the one thing they always kind of tell you when you do kind of public speaking is don't work with animals and do not do live demonstrations. So, welcome to the House of Cats. So this is a very basic website to kind of demonstrate what we're going to be talking about today. So What I will say is there will be times where this will go slightly wrong. We're talking with the screen reader constantly. I'll be muting now and again. But I'll try and show up a screen on here and talk about what I'm trying to do. But it's very important to listen to kind of what the screen reader is reading out. When I spoke about structure, in my demonstration, I had the content on the left-hand side and a side on here. But using kind of a bit of CSS, so a bit of styling, you can kind of alter where things are. So in my head, and this is in my thinking, other people do have different ways of thinking when it comes to structuring a website. I want to go through the main content first, and then I want to go through a side. So this is how I've structured this website. So first of all, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to let the screen reader read through the page and just show you how this is going through.
Banner. Visited. Link. Image. Return to the home page of the House of Cats. Main. Navigation. List 4 items. Visited. Link. About Us. Visited. Link. Cats vs. Dogs. Visited. Link. Adopt a cat. Visited. Link. Contact us. Visited. Link. Visit the cat basket. You currently have 0 cats in the cat basket. Main content area. Main.
So be aware of how
Heading
this is going to
level
flow
1.
through.
Welcome to the Hex House of Cats. Pelantesque habit and morbitrustique actus. Voiceover off.
I can't mute this, so this is going to be hilarious for you guys. I do apologize. So you can see how the structure is going, starting at the banner, working its way across, coming onto the main heading. But because we've kind of moved this block of content kind of from here, just over a little bit, it's going straight through this main bit of content. So the flow of it is working very, very well. The next bit you do have to give me a bit of patience with, but I will be with you.
Links, headings, landmarks menu. You are currently in a voiceover banner.
Honestly, talks more than me, it's ridiculous. So your landmarks. So this is what you saw the first screen. It's a screen of telling you where things are. But rather than having banner, navigation, and things like that, you can see here what we've done is we've just added extra little bits. So we've allowed the banner to be at the top. We've allowed kind of, rather than just navigation, main navigation. If I scroll further down the page, there's my mouse. I will move it up further. Down at the bottom, we've got House of Cats on social. And that's just navigation as well, but using icons. So what we've done is we've said we've got a social media account navigation. So we're allowing more navigation objects, but we're allowing just that extra bit of content to be in there as well. The same thing when it comes to complementary. So complementary can be, it can be extra information, but it can also be things like addresses or phone numbers or contact us or things like that. So think about it when you are building these blocks. Headings, again, brilliant way of structuring things. This is kind of why I think kind of label by is a very good way, because you're referencing a heading along with giving it a little bit of content in there as well. So landmarks, fantastic.
No items in landmark closing. Landmarks menu. Visited link. Visit the cat bar. Voiceover off.
Live demonstrations. Cool. Cool. So very basic there. ARIA labels, absolutely fantastic. And you will see them throughout this a little bit more. The next section frustrates me greatly. We work with a lot of public sector. We work with a lot of third-party applications that, quite frankly, can't be asked to do what I'm about to show you. It is that simple, yet they're charging people 3, 4, 5 grand to either do that, look at it, or even think about it. So this is a real great frustration. So what we've done here is we built a contact form. We have used 3 or 4 different ARIA labels in here, or ARIA attributes, to kind of say what we're doing. So the first example is an input field with placeholder text, but using ARIA label to actually give it a little bit of extra information. The next 2, we have a text field and an email field. Both are required from what we can see. and the information at the top. We've got a little red star in there as well. But we've also got that little bit of information further down as well. So we'll show you how this is starting to be put together. I would expect absolute minimum for this to be on every form. We have a label at the top. So again, let's just quickly have a look. If we take your name, for example, you expect to have a label, you expect to have an input. And this is what we've got. So we've got a label for your name. So you've got the two references up there. They're connecting to each other. And then your name, what we're actually going to see on the screen and what a screen reader is going to actually have read back to them as well. And then the actual input field itself. This has been simplified. I will be going through other little elements later on. But devs, that's not hard, is it? That's really easy. Yet we've got third-party systems that are ignoring this. You know, people that are paying their council tax don't know what they're putting their credit card details into. It's really does frustrate me that much. So please, if you take at least one thing from the ramblings I'm talking about today, just really talk to your council and just get them to sort that out. You've also got other things. So the very first one at the top, there was no label up there at all. So what you can do is just add ARIA label again. You've seen that previously. All you're doing is just putting on a different item at the top. So ARIA label, anything you'd like to put in here. Very, very simple when it comes to that. And as you can see, stylistically, designers, any designers in here? So I normally really annoy you guys, I'm so sorry. But I'm making it look nice. I'm doing things, it's making it accessible. Placeholder, color contrast aside. But, we can work together. We should all work together as a team because, we are all in this together. It's not just one person or one team to do that. The next one is kind of controversial in a way. When you think about it, ARIA hidden is hiding text from a screen reader. It's telling a screen reader to just completely ignore it. Almost like saying no alt text in an image, blank alt text, so it just reads over it. But kind of when you think about what we're doing here, do we want a screen reader to read that out? So the example I've got here is I've got, at the very top it said, so in this one, a star shows a required field. Does a screen reader need that to be read out to them? Because further down the line, this star, or that content up there, is going to be read out to them using another ARIA element. So the way that I'm looking at this, and again, other people, other developers may think about this in a slightly different way, I don't really want a screen reader to read that out. That's extra content that is really not needed. When you look at this, a person's going to have heading, bit of content, and then the form it is. So we should be explaining that in that micro content right at the top, what we're doing. Then the form should do what it's said to do. So I would say my justification is ARIA hidden should be used in certain areas. It will never be used on links. It will never be used on active elements because, one, they're active elements. So what we should be doing is making sure that what we are hiding is kind of justified. Because we've got required and ARIA required. So again, going back to kind of HTML4 and below, we didn't have this beautiful, just standard required item at the top. And this little standard little thing is amazing because it adds extra little bits to when we try and fill out a form and we shouldn't do it. Using nothing else but HTML5, it kind of says, no, you should have to fill that in, which gets read out to a screen reader. But previously, if we're inheriting very bad code, all we have to do is just add this. Don't have to change anything that we've done. We're just adding some little ARIA item into this. And that is stopping users going through their screen and not hearing that this is required, because they will hear when something is required. So again, this is why my justification is we have two required fields here. So using HTML5, I've just called that required. The screen reader will say it is required. So I don't need that star to be read out. If anything, that's going to confuse the person that's using the screen reader that I'm going through. Appreciate there's a lot of content in here. The laughing and demonstrations will come again in a second. So The last one I'll show you is ARIA Describe By. ARIA Describe By will allow you to have even more content to be read out again to help that user use the element. So, if we think about my previous example, we have an email field down at the bottom here. We may want to add a little bit more content. So we may only accept certain email accounts, or we may want to describe how that email should be shown. So what I've done here is I have just some standard paragraph text, styled to be a little bit smaller than normal, given it an idea of email describe, and then I'm being really horrible to other people that don't have .co.uk or .com accounts, but it's giving that extra bit of reading. And again, all I'm doing is just referencing 2 items. So the input is referencing the text. And what's going to happen is when I try and complete that field, I'm just going to read that little bit more information. So it's still on the screen, people can still see it, but the screen reader is going to consume that in a little bit of a different way. And here's a lovely example of what we're talking about. So you'll see that please enter your email address using either .co.uk or .com, and there's your email field. So, back to the cats. So, here's the form I've been talking about. All the same fields as before. I will be talking about these 2 shortly, but the main ones we're going to concentrate on are the ones at the top. So, to give you an example of how we're going to submit this, where's my thing? There we go. So I'm not going to add any information in here. I'm going to hit enter. Please enter your full name. So if you were just doing this from scratch, you're not adding any extra content, it'll just say invalid field, needs more content. So developers, yep, a little bit of JavaScript, and we can actually customize that item at the top as well. So if I had my name, and then maybe submit it again, the standard one, fill out this field. So here, that is just using that required element. And as soon as we use that required element, it's stopping us from doing certain things. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to bring up the screen reader and just show you how that reads everything out for us.
Voiceover on Safari. The Hex House of Cat. Address. The Hex House of Cat. Visit. Your name required. Edit text with autofill menu. To open the autofill menu, landmark article, Windows, links menu, headings menu, form controls menu.
Right, so I can't move the screen here, so I'll try and describe it to you and we'll have a look at it again. So the first element you see is the labeled item, but with placeholder text. So this is how that will be read out.
Enter anything you like in here. Edit text. This is an example of an input without a label.
I really love his voice afterwards. It really goes deeper, just to really give you the emphasis. So the deeper voice is the placeholder text. The first one is the label element within there. So as you can see, that's still telling a person what that field is going to be, but there's nothing in there as well. Kind of, again, another disclaimer. You can do this in a slightly different way. You can have labels in here that are maybe just off the screen a little bit more. This is just really an ARIA demonstration on that one.
Your name required. Edit text with autofill menu. Contact info autofill. Contact your email required. Edit text.
Safari loves to add extra little bits. So the little 2 bits you saw right there, contact info, this is a little autofill that you've got in there as well. So your email address.
Your email required. Edit text.
This is why screen readers are different in different browsers. So if I load this up now.
Space with a closed Chrome. The Hex House of visited link. Voiceover off. Banner. Enter your email. Required invalid data. Edit text. You are currently in a voiceover menu. This is a list of voiceover menu options. To navigate up and down the list, use the arrow key. Your your email. Required invalid data. Edit text.
Amazing.
No items in closing. Voiceover off.
So I've clearly done something to code that's really broken at the live time. Excellent. So the idea I was going to show you is as soon as you went on there, it said email, and then it was going to say you need to enter that extra bit of information. So essentially, as long as you're linking the two in between there, everything's going to help you. It will read it out afterwards. I'd love to know what I've done wrong, but as again, live demonstrations, fantastic. So please remember what we've gone on there. So we've gone on ARIA labels, which again is this one, ARIA required, which are these two, and ARIA described by on here. But as you can see, there's nothing really changed when it comes to the look and feel of your page. Now my personal favorite, ARIA Live, ARIA Atomic. So ARIA Live is really what brings everything together. This gives you the interaction. This gives you that extra little bit. So I did show you earlier, you've got a couple of different fields in here. And what we can do is we can have essentially two ways for your screen reader to come back to you at. So you can have a polite message or you can have an assertive message. Honestly, know which one I would prefer if I'm talking to a screen reader. But the idea is polite will happen at the end of interaction. Assertive will just batter you every single time that you press a key because it will tell you something else. So the example that I've got on here is we have a small bit of JavaScript that is counting down the characters down here. So as many characters I use within the box, that will go down further and further and further. But using ARIA Live, it's just going to add that content. So it's actually going to talk back to me and say, this is what we need to do. So when it comes to a coding point of view, we're looking at that item down at the bottom. I have a paragraph tag. I'm saying ARIA polite in this example, so it'll finish after the interaction. I'm also saying ARIA atomic. ARIA atomic will allow the whole item to be read through. So in this example, if we try to ignore the spans, you'll currently have characters left 100. That will be what will be read out. If we didn't have ARIA atomic, the only thing that will be read out is the item that changes. So if you think about it in this context, you currently have characters left 100, makes a bit more sense. But if you take that out and just hear 100 or 50, there's no context to what's actually being read out. So what we have here is that using atomic is just bringing everything together for us. We also have this class here, SR only, you currently have. This is text that is off the screen. So we don't want to actually have that displayed, but we want the screen reader to read that out to add more content to what it is. Again, it really is up to you of how that will work. So we'll give that another quick go.
Banner. Reload this the hex how you are currently on a banner. Banner. Visited. Link. Image. Your polite message. Edit text. Article. Your space. A. 1. 91. 90. 1. What? M. 80. 79. Atom. Now in voiceover off.
So this is another reason why you should never edit a presentation while you're actually trying to get ready on a train. So I'm just going to change this to true. So the reason why you heard just numbers was because I didn't have ARIA atomic on. So as you can tell, hearing numbers, absolutely rubbish. So what we'll do is we'll try again.
Voiceover on correct. Your polite message. Edit text. You currently have characters left 96.
So wait.
You are currently on a text space.
Wait till
you currently have character space. You currently have characters left 81. Your assertive message. Edit text.
I apologise.
You are currently on a text area. You currently have characters left 95. Voiceover off.
Honestly, we're best friends at times, but when you have assertive all the time, it is mad. So, just having, this is kind of why ARIA can be a problem at times. You put the wrong kind of element in there, the wrong declaration, it's going to kind of piss off people at the same time that you're actually going to help people. So please test it. So, the two are very, very different. So when it comes to kind of screens and things like this, I would strongly advise polite. It's definitely going to help. But then there will be times where you will need assertive. So kind of assertive alerts and things like that. So we're not using any ARIA in here. We're not saying kind of shout me out straight away. All we're doing now is just saying, this old element. All we're doing is using divs. So using blocks of content. So using this role and having an alert is telling the screen reader to say, right, I need to know something pretty quickly and pretty sharpish. So pretty much think I should be telling you that straight away. So this is why you should be hiding behind the screens and making sure that this works right. So what we will now do is go back to our page.
Visited the hex banner. Visited link image. Return hot dog alert. Hot dog alert. We have just found a house full of cats. We need your help to rehome them. Chrome has new window. Voiceover off.
So what happens here is we've just had an alert pop up. This is just a bit of JavaScript, kind of client-side scripting. That's just popped up with an alert. So something has automatically happened, but we need to tell the person that this has happened. Maybe not the best example when you think about it, but this is what would happen. So if you think about the current situation where we're having kind of flooding alerts all the time, maybe we're on our local authority's webpage and we want to actually tell someone that there's flooding in your area. They don't want to refresh that page to find out that information. If that's coming down and we're actually telling people about this straight away, we should be using the kind of the role of alert and bringing that out for us. And to kind of finish off, to hopefully link the two presentations together. As I said, ARIA Live, for me, all those examples that I showed you at the start, you can fix using ARIA Live by doing nothing else but ARIA Live. It will tell you, so if you think of that calculator, you hit a number on the screen, it reads that number out. You hit plus, add, minus, anything like that, it reads it out. You hit enter to actually get the result, it reads it out for you. Simple calculator, but it's doing it. So when you think about, kind of your day-to-day life, who does online shopping? God, there's got to be more. There we go. So everyone does online shopping. I hate Christmas shopping. Love Christmas jumpers, hate Christmas shopping. But I love online shops. So when you kind of go onto a shop, you buy your favorite jumper, how do you know that something's gone into the basket? Any idea? You get a number. You get a beautiful number that just pops up and it says, yeah, you have one item in the basket. Brilliant. Except it doesn't work that way for screen readers, does it? We may have something that pops up. Brilliant. We may have something we could tab to. Fantastic. But that screen reader user doesn't know that that's happened. So my final plug of the day. Ben at the top has done a fantastic blog on how top retail websites are still inaccessible. So anyone get a cracking Black Friday deal? No? Ooh. There's some good ones out there. The top 10, is it, Ben? The top 10 leading e-commerce websites inaccessible. So this is what links very nicely into what we were speaking about earlier. So by seeing how easy it is to potentially make a shopping basket or a shopping alert accessible, we can really work that into other areas. So this is why ARIA Live is brilliant. So if we can imagine the website again, we've got that basket right at the top. We've got a block of text, so we've got our basket. We've got an image, which in this case is an SVG, so it's got kind of a title on there as well. We've got some screen reader text because the image doesn't have any alternative text. I want to manipulate it. So I'm just going to put in some blank text that's not going to be on the screen. Visit the cat basket. We've then got some screen reader text, but again using ARIA Live, but assertive, so I really want to shout it out. I'm starting off by saying I currently have 0 cats in the cat basket. And then for something else here, this is the number that will be displayed at the top. So again, giving it an idea of cat no, but I want it ARIA hidden. I don't want to display it in the text that I'm talking about. The reason why I'm hiding it is because I'm reading out how many cats are in the cat basket at that place. So my justification for having this as hidden is because I'm reading it out in this area here. So, this is the one that's really going to go wrong. What we'll do now is we'll do our Christmas cat, and we'll show you how this works. We'll also show you how this could possibly be quite annoying when it comes to using a screen reader, when it comes to having an e-commerce site. So I've done a quick example. We've got 9 cats, believe it or not, with the same name. We've got cats with alternative text in their images. We have cats with blank alt text. And then we have cats with ARIA label. So we've not done a slide for this. The ARIA label is essentially saying the link and then saying the cat's name. And look, there's actually a cat description generator, which I really have to point. I don't understand how or why, but this is why we've got the description. So if we were to look at our screen reader, I'm going to show you the links that we're going to use and then kind of show you how this works.
Links menu. Visited link. Alan is a beautiful cat. Alan £45, this average sized old cat. Link visited link. Contact us.
So the reason why I'm
You are currently in a voiceover menu. This is a list of voiceover menu. No item closing. Links voiceover off.
To really describe what I'm saying here is read out the alternative text, then read out this link, then read out this link, and then read out this link. It's all one link, but it's all reading it out as a single link. So I would say I'm going to go through the next ones, but make up your mind of which one you prefer to do. You know, I personally would say the image isn't really justifying what we're doing here. We are just talking about a cat because we've got a description. But I would say ARIA label here is when I think it really disrupts a link. It's really taking away the content. So I'll just show you the different ones again.
Visited.
These are alt text.
Alan is a beautiful visited link. Lynn is a beautiful cat. Lynn visited link. Michael is a beautiful cat. Michael £745, this large visited link. Alan £45, this average sized old visited link. Lynn visited link. Michael 704 visited link. Alan. You are currently visited link.
This is when I think ARIA labels really don't give us extra help here.
Visited link.
So Alan,
Michael.
Lynn, Michael really adds no context to the link. So this is when kind of ARIA labels, you know, you do need
voiceover off.
You do need to think about how you're doing this. But for the purpose of what I'm going to do now, we're going to add some cats to the cat basket.
Voiceover on Chrome. Visited link. Currently, you have 1 cat in the cat basket costing a total of £45. Chrome has new currently, you have 2 cats in the cat basket costing a total of £124. Currently, you have 3 cats in the cat basket costing a total of £869. Visit voiceover off.
And anyone that doesn't have cats, yes, they bloody cost that much, especially when they go wrong. But as you can hopefully see there, you know, all we have done is had a little bit of JavaScript to kind of count up how much the value is. We've tried to tell as much information as possible. So you currently have X amount of cats in the cat basket and also the total. So then the person that is using a screen reader is not just saying 1 item. We're telling them that little bit more information. There's a lot of work going on in the travel industry. I know it's pretty bad in some areas, but there's certain airlines that's actually helping this out. So there's certain airlines that will actually say you have 1 ticket to somewhere totaling this amount of money. That's not a lot of code. That's really short. And for me, that's keeping it simple. It's all we're adding here, ARIA Live, bit of JavaScript maybe hidden when we think about the structure of what we're going down. So this is why I really think, you know, keep it simple helps us out a lot more. I appreciate I've been talking for a very long time, so a little bit more extra reading. I could go on for days and days and days. ARIA selected, if an item has been selected. ARIA controls, what's it controlling? Is it looking after a certain area? Tab role and tab panel. pros and cons with tabs, but we'll go through that one a different time. ARIA has pop-up. Tell the person it has a pop-up, something's going to happen. ARIA expanded with accordions, other little things you can do, and tooltips. Tooltips are fantastic when it is read out in the right way. So, for example, are you kind of selecting an input and something's popped up? If so, maybe say a little bit more about it as well. So, if we kind of have a pause for thought, essentially, the structure is there for you. HTML5 has a lot of things. If you do get the chance, move over old applications to that. But ARIA roles can help. So it doesn't matter if you inherit if you inherit a website that you don't fully agree with, maybe put some ARIA roles in there and use things like that. Interactive websites can be fully interactive. A shopping basket can be interactive. It's down to us to do that. So we just have to find out what works. Is assertive right? Is polite right? I don't know until I'm looking at the right situation or hearing the right situation. So please have a think about it, have a go, and maybe use some of the screen readers that are about there. And also, let's be honest, screen readers are bloody difficult in this normal time, but when you're doing a live demonstration, they're even worse. Thank you.
Wow.
I'm sorry.
No, don't go yet. Go if you want. There's a couple of questions. Are we okay? A couple of questions, Ola? Okay. Well, thank you so much, first of all. You're a brave man. Have you ever seen people use ARIA to leave hidden messages for users or give screen reader users a better hidden experience? So instructions, basically.
Yeah, so I think if we go back to this example, this is kind of a hidden way. This is kind of hiding it. So the class of SR only is off the screen. So it's giving the user a bit more.
Second question was about that class.
Was it? All right. Yeah. So the SR only, I believe, is something like position absolute left minus 4,000. So think of this screen over there in the toilets. That's where it is. That's what that's there for. So yes, I would say we're almost giving a screen reader more context in that point of view. The demonstration is really for screen readers, so you could possibly go a little bit further for other people. But yeah, I think that's the best way of showing that.
Okay, thank you so much. Probably should call it a night there because it's getting late.
It's late.
James, thank you so much. Please give him a round of applause.